Hello, thank you for joining me. This is Insight into Wellness. My name is Alexandra Greenberg, and I am the owner of Green Tree Ayurveda. Today, we are celebrating you, banishing self doubt, and connecting you with your greatness. My guest is Yasmina. She is a coach, speaker, facilitator who specializes in confidence, self belief, and personal empowerment. Yasmina believes confidence is available to everyone, and she helps her clients transform their beliefs and step into their most confident selves in order to achieve their full potential. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's
Of
been a long time
course.
coming, so I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we met recently, and I really enjoyed things that you say, how you say them, and where you come from. So again, super happy to be here with you.
Thank you.
I wanted to start with a question that I usually start with, and I start with asking, where did your holistic practices start? And I love asking this question because I think it demystifies healers. Um, People may think that practitioners, NDs, coaches, healers in general, that we've always been practicing and leading holistic, natural, healthy lives, and that's just not true. So yeah, my first question is, were practices a part of your childhood, or is this something that developed when you got older?
I love this question. So, I think for me, there's been two key points in my life. So, when I first entered the world of work, I was working as a civil servant in central government, and everyone was sent on a 3-day training course. And you had these, really hardcore civil servants who'd been there for 20 years and were complaining about how terrible it would be, but everyone came away completely transformed by this
Mm.
training. And it was essentially about personal development, neuro-linguistic programming. And for me, being so early in my career, I mean, right at the start, it was just really eye-opening. So that set me on my journey of wanting to become a coach and help people in this way. And then years later, I was having a tough time at work and I was having a lot of sore throats. And someone said to me, you might want to look at chakra balancing. Maybe you're not speaking up. Maybe
Wow.
that's what's going on with your throat. And at the time, I was like, what is a chakra? How do I balance it? Where is it? So I
Yeah.
just looked, did my research, did lots of meditation around it. And I cannot claim to be an expert in chakras, but that was very much a kind of segue into some of this work for me, and just understanding a bit about energy, about just these different blocks we can carry in our body. And I think more importantly, all of these different methods, methodologies, modalities of just understanding how the mind works, how the body works, and ultimately how we can be happy and fulfilled.
Okay, so many things. So many things. I love how that person was like, yeah, check your chakra. I am right there with you. From a young age, my throat chakra, I always felt like it has been blocked. So
Really?
the fact that I think, well, personally, I haven't really spoken to about this to a lot of people, but I've often thought that maybe coaches, healers, people wanting to speak out are working through their own throat chakra balancing and giving and receiving. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's nice that you mentioned giving and receiving, because I think it's important to have that balance as well, especially when you are a giver. You can't just give and deplete
Mm.
yourself. You need to learn to receive as well. And part of receiving is actually asking. So yeah, it all links back to using your voice, which ironically is how we met.
Yeah. Yes, for everyone, we met during a really amazing 3-month long process of writing a really intense talk that we will one day share with the world.
Yay.
But today we are talking about confidence, really, where is it rooted? Where can we find it? How do we find it? What happens if we can't find it? Tell us how you kind of stepped into coaching people in finding their power.
Hmm. So it actually took me a long time to really embrace becoming a coach. I first wanted to when I was like 22, but I felt that I was too young. No one would take me seriously. So I built my career in the charity, education, not-for-profit sector. And I was always coaching people. I take part in workplace programs. I volunteered at my old universities. I did youth work as well, some youth coaching. And really, the underlying theme for all of it was confidence. When I was doing stuff around CVs, it wasn't how do you write a CV, it was how do you sell yourself, how do you talk about yourself positively, and really talk about how great you are. So I realized the common theme in everything I've done really is about confidence. I'm such a strong believer that confidence is the thing that really makes a difference. You can be the most skilled, talented person, but if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't go after what you want, you're just going to be skilled and talented with no one to share your skills and talents with. So confidence, I think, is a really big part of happiness, success, fulfillment, from asking for what you want to going after what you want, whatever it is, confidence plays a really strong part in it.
Yeah, again, there's that asking, doing, receiving coming up. Um, when I also work in confidence. I really think that that is such an important piece of rebuilding identity, rebuilding what it is that you want and what it is that you want to go after, just like you mentioned. And I think a big piece of that is developing trust within yourself.
Yeah.
um, I really work towards small pieces of that, developing trust in what you're choosing to eat for the day, trust in how you're choosing to spend your day. Is trust part of how you work with people? Does that come into how you work?
It can do. It can do. It very much depends on the individual, but trust in yourself is so important. I mean, if you can't trust yourself, your choices, your wants, and if you can't trust yourself, how do you trust anyone else? And the trust we have in ourselves can be really eroded by life beating us up.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite common if someone has a bad relationship, not only do they lose trust in others, they lose trust in their ability to choose a good partner. So rebuilding that trust is a real process. And like you say, it's small, you take steps towards it, but ultimately, you have to have that desire to move on from where you are. And actually, I want to really dispel a myth around confidence, because I think so often people see confidence as an absolute. You're either confident or you're not. But I see confidence as being very situational. So I'll give you an example. I love singing. I am the most confident singer in the world, and I don't care who's listening when I'm in my shower. I sing my heart out and I really go for it, and I could rival Whitney and Mariah and all the greats. Put me on a stage, I will be running in the opposite direction. So, confidence is really situational, and it depends. It's like a scale rather than a fixed point. You can be super confident in one area of life and really lack confidence in another. So I think it's really important for people to look at where they do have that confidence, because if you can be confident in one area, you absolutely can in another.
Yeah, exploring,
Mm,
exploring.
mm,
Um, just becoming aware. I've talked to a lot of healers and a lot of these first steps, because I'm going to ask you this question in just a moment, but a lot of healers, when they're working brand new with a client or a group of people, it's really about this awareness. How do you step someone um, into a process of being aware of their confidence and stepping
mm.
into it and stepping into their power?
Yeah, so self-awareness is massive. One of the things I do with my clients, it's called DISC personality profiling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a set of questions, and it measures these four characteristics, which are dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness. We all have these, we have them to different degrees, and we can, cultivate them. And going through this process with clients is really powerful because it gets people to reflect on their qualities, and sometimes people can be quite disappointed when they see their profile.
Hmm.
I mean, for me, I came out as very high in the dominance range, and I was like, no, I don't want to be a bossy horrible person. And that's totally not what it means, but we attach these meanings to different characteristics. And I've had clients be disappointed by some of the things in their reports that they agree with, but they don't necessarily recognize the value in. And any quality that we have can be positive or can be negative. What would you say is a quality that you admire or value in people?
Yeah. Tenacity,
Tenacity,
which
yeah.
can sometimes be looked as like, oh, great, go get it, go get it. And sometimes like it's too much, like
Yeah.
relax a little bit. I hate when people tell me to relax or calm down. I'm like, no, no, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. But
Yeah.
you see, any quality that we have, when it's overdone, can go from being the most positive, even kindness. How can kindness be bad? Well, if your kindness extends so far that you're now homeless because you've given everything you own away, that's a problem. So really looking at the qualities, seeing the value in them, and then looking at where you want to get to, because this is the thing, personality isn't fixed. We can all grow, we can all change, we can all step into the best version of ourselves. So it's being really honest about, where are you right now and where do you want to get to? And likewise with confidence, what does confidence mean to you personally? Are you trying to get to the point where you post half naked photos on Instagram? Are you trying to build up the courage to
Hmm.
register for online dating? Do you want to go for a promotion at work? What does it actually mean to you? Or is it just a generalized, low confidence? But generally speaking, there's some way that people are blocked, they want to achieve something, and it's really understanding, where is it that you're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that confidence is rooted um, in like an emotional body or the physical body? When you're working with people who are working to express themselves, do you find that it's one or the other, or both and all the above?
I think it really depends on the individual. I mean, I know we're going to talk about this later, but my view is that confidence really does come from taking action, moving forward, moving towards wherever it is you're trying to get to. But absolutely, there's a strong emotional and mental component, physical component as well. If we're talking about illness, stuff that's going on with your body, if your body is physically holding you back, that can be massively traumatic for people. One of the things I'm really big on is self-talk, the words we say to ourselves,
Yes.
what's going on in our
Yes.
minds. And I would say, I can't back this up with scientific data right now, but I would say that most people aren't aware of the things they say to themselves. We just go around and we've got all this self-talk, and sometimes it's silly things. I remember once tripping over a pair of shoes and thinking, what an idiot. I wouldn't call you an idiot if you tripped up. So why am I talking to myself like
Mm-hmm.
that?
Mm-hmm.
And as small as these examples may seem, actually over time it becomes normalized. And then if another person calls you an idiot, you're not really going to think much of it because you've been calling yourself one
Yeah.
all along. So the way we talk to ourselves really, really shapes our reality. And you don't always have someone to tell you you're great. You don't always have someone to cheer for you, be your cheerleader. You really need to be able to do that for yourselves. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's something I'm really big on, tuning into that voice, hearing what it says, and if it's really negative, taking steps towards changing that. And sometimes it's a matter of understanding whose voice that is. It might be a mean teacher. It might be a parent who is really harsh with you. Usually, or quite often, it isn't even your voice, it's someone else's. So working towards overcoming that.
So important. Excuse me. One thing that I consistently hear from clients, friends, across the board, and something that I have really, really worked on to not say is, I don't know.
Mm,
So it's almost a part of our lexicon. Just I don't know this, or I don't know, and I don't know. And I think that is so degrading on what it is we truly know. So when we talk about getting how we talk to ourselves and what we're constantly saying to ourselves, I just think this is such. I think this is big. I think this is bigger
mm,
than we might think. This I don't know really seeps into what it is we don't know. And we often think we don't know a lot when in actuality, if you listen to what you're saying, you do know. You have a pretty good idea.
yeah.
And stepping into that, I just
Yeah.
think
And
this is so important.
that can keep us stuck. Why aren't you doing the thing? Oh, I don't know how. It can
Mm,
really keep us where we are. I've got to say something to slightly counter that, though.
yeah,
One of
okay.
my a real turning point in my career for me was I was working with some directors, and so one of them was asked a question by the head of the division, and she said, "Oh, I don't know." And for me, that was so empowering because I was
Mm,
that person who always had to know. If I didn't know, I would find out. I'd be the last in the office. I'd be putting in all the hours because I felt like I need to be seen to know. I need to know the answers. I just need to know the answers. And seeing her just say she didn't know, it was so mind blowing for
mm-hmm.
me that someone at this level could just admit to not knowing. And it was fine. The world didn't end. No one judged her. She just didn't know. So I think in that kind of example, actually being able to say you don't know is fine. But when we are talking about the inner wisdom, it's about how do you get to that? How do you get to a point where you do know?
Yeah, context, of course. If you don't
Mm,
know, say it. Say it that you don't know. And thank you for countering that. It's really good to hear different views and make sure that we're grounded in what we know and what we don't know.
mm, definitely.
I would love to talk about worthiness and
Mm,
how this plays into our confidence, um, and just kind of expanding on when when we don't feel worthy, can we have confidence without worthiness? Are these two mutually exclusive? Um, Give us a sense on how you dive into this.
mm. So I think you can have one without the other, but then it comes down to is it true confidence? So if we use
Mm,
relationships as an example, someone with very low self-worth can get into a relationship, could very confidently approach the object of their desires. But actually, if they have low self-worth, that is going to come out in the relationship. It's not going to be it's not going to be the same kind of relationship as someone with high self-worth would be in. They're going to settle for less. Maybe if they get a lot, they're going to self-sabotage. They're just going to show up
mm,
very differently in that relationship. And likewise, you can apply that to work. If you're being bullied at work, if you're just being treated horribly, your friends, your family, all of that, how much worth you attach to yourself has a massive impact on how you experience the world. Everything, how people treat you, how much of life you can enjoy. If something great happens to you, you're not going to be able to enjoy it if you don't think you're worthy of it. And you see this in lottery winners, for example. I think the average time it takes a lottery winner to spend their fortune is 3 years or something
oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
Yeah, and there's so many theories. Some of the theories focus on, they're not used to money management, but I think a lot of it will come down to feelings around worth and how worthy they feel of having that much money because it is unfamiliar to them. So worth is massive, and so many of us do walk around feeling like we're not good enough. And a lot of it is subconscious as well. So sometimes it isn't that someone's thinking that, but it's there in their actions, it's there, in their past somewhere coming up for them.
Mm-hmm. It's it's so important to, again, just be aware.
Yeah.
Be aware of if you are feeling those feelings, like you had mentioned. Are those words history from someone else? Are
Yeah.
those are those your truths?
Yeah.
Um, when when we're starting to become aware, what is our next step? How do you actually get that action into developing confidence and stepping into power?
Yeah, so absolutely, as you say, it's about awareness. So really understanding, where are you now? What's going on for you now? What's great? What isn't so great? Are there areas of your life where you are showing up confidently? Do you want to just kind of look at everything that's going on for you? And then looking at, where are you trying to get to? Who is it that you want to be? What do you want to be doing? What do you want to have? What is the end goal? What does confidence look like for you? And then it's taking small steps towards it. So we're all different. I throw myself into situations. That's how I learn. That's how I enjoy just trying new things. But you might be someone who wants to take smaller steps to get to your ultimate goal. And that's fine. And it's being okay with all of that. I think really getting in touch with your personal qualities. Who are you as a person? What do you value? What do you want? And really holding true to those. If something goes against your values, not accepting that, or looking at how you work around that, as opposed to just kind of, when you have really low self-worth and you're just happy to have a job, or you're just happy to be in a relationship, really demanding more for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that there is abundance to be had. There is whatever you want. There's plenty in the world. And I'm not saying you can have everything you want to, blink your eyes
And
and
poof.
poof, it's there. You have to work for what you want, but it's believing that it's there. And I think one of the things that I often remind myself and other people is that there are people doing the things you really want to do, people who are equally qualified or even less qualified than you. There are plenty of examples from history of people who have gone from being completely downtrodden to a success, happy, healthy, whatever it is you want. There are so many examples. And role modeling is great as well. If you are struggling, if you're in a place where you can't see yourself getting out of it, there's so many examples of people who have. So look for someone who you resonate with, or who resonates with you, and see that as inspiration, that there is hope.
Yeah. Um, Something that you spoke about just briefly, but I talk a lot about specifically with my clients, is the amount of work that it does take.
Mm.
Anyone listening, anyone going through the challenges of building confidence and building self-worth, stepping into power, it doesn't happen in a day. It
No.
takes time and it takes hard fucking work. And I say that with the intention of also saying you don't have to be that in a day, and
Yeah.
understanding that it takes that time is a huge
Yeah.
piece of the puzzle.
And it's again, it's breaking it down. So you know one of my examples of stepping into my confidence was going solo traveling. Now when I think back, it seems so ridiculous, but back in 2016, I wanted to go to Dubai and skydive. I wasn't scared about jumping out of a plane, but I was scared about getting on the plane to go there
Mm,
on my own. And I had all these fears. People laugh when I say this, but I'm serious. I was scared about having a spider in the shower. Who will save me? Who will get rid of it? As well as fears about
I am
feeling.
laughing just a little bit.
You can, it's cool. But all these fears, and now it's like seems so crazy to me because I've done loads of solo traveling since then. So
Mm,
for me, I went to a country I'd been to before. I went to a country I know to be safe. That was my way of making myself comfortable. I didn't go on like a 3 month solo sailing adventure around the world, having never sailed in my life. So
Mm-hmm.
it's small steps.
Mm-hmm.
Identifying what is the big goal and what are the small things you can do along the way to prepare you for that. um and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily have to be hard. It takes commitment and dedication, but it doesn't necessarily have to be hard. I'm a big believer that the journey has to be enjoyable. You know, if you have a big goal and you are absolutely hating every step of the way, that's a problem. You have to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy your life and you have to enjoy it now. You can't just wait until you get to wherever you want to get to, because the thing is, our potential expands. So the closer you get to achieving your goal, your mind wants more. I did a marathon last year and I had no interest in running prior to it, and I have no real interest in running now.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm right there with you.
about, but about halfway through my training, I was convinced, I was on the verge of applying to do an Ironman. Me, who hates running, who can ride a bike, but with it doesn't come naturally. Definitely doesn't come naturally. But the closer I got to my potential, the more my mind expanded and the more I wanted to do. So
Mm-hmm.
knowing as well that that goal that you have right now, once you get there, you may want more.
Mm-hmm.
That could just be the start as opposed to the end.
Yeah. Hard work followed by it has to be fun. You have to want that to be your work. Um I'm I'm still laughing about the spider in the shower, but just a little bit. Um I think all in all also, and we spoke about this a little bit ago, but having it doesn't have to be on your own.
No,
finding
no.
that finding that confidence, finding the steps to take, it doesn't have to be on your own, and asking, like we talked about at the very beginning, asking and making sure that that's part of your journey
Yes.
is imperative to the journey itself.
Absolutely. It's a massive part. And I think sometimes we can feel like we're the only one going through something. Trust me when I say there is no, this is a bold statement. I'm kind of questioning myself, but trust me when I say
Ready.
there is nothing you can be going through in your life that someone at some point hasn't been through and overcome. So,
Yes.
you've got to
Yes.
keep that in mind. There are people who are having the same challenges or similar challenges, and actually, you can overcome anything, and people do. And there are people just like you out there. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of social media, but actually, it gives a great way to connect. It gives a great way to, you know, we're in two different continents during a pandemic, and here we are having a great conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's realizing that there are people out there like you. There are people out there who you will like, who will like you, who you can really bond with, and having those relationships, because we all need support. And I think we all like to, well, I know in my friends generally all like to offer support. So I think where we can get blocked is around the receiving side. But when you don't allow someone to give you, you're depriving them of that opportunity to give.
Mm.
So it's reciprocity, and it's so important. But communities are really fundamental to getting to where we want to feeling supported, to really having people to share ourselves and our wins and our highs and our lows with.
Yeah. um when we can begin the transformation, just like you talked about when you started, preparing for your marathon, when we can begin that transformation, and trust in that transformation, know it's going to be hard work, but also enjoy that process. uh,
Mm,
that's when change can shift. And whether
yeah,
you're taking small steps or all of a sudden you're taking small steps and you're like, I'm going to leap this one, I'm going to go for it.
yeah,
um, we Yasmina, myself, many other people want to help you and want to see you step into your power. For anyone listening, again, that needs this message, we have all the faith in you and have so much hope and joy for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it really is about starting from where you are. So if you use the gym as an example, if you go hard in the gym for 2 weeks, you're going to start seeing changes in your body. If you go for a walk every day, you're going to start seeing the changes in your body. It's someone said to me once, there's many ways to climb a mountain, or there's lots of paths to the top of the mountain. So it doesn't have to necessarily be hard. It doesn't have to take a long time. It's just about doing things in a way that works for you. But the thing is as well, momentum is a real it's a real thing. Once you start taking those actions, you just want to keep going. Often the hardest thing is getting started, and once you're on the journey, it kind of carries you along.
Mm, yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much for talking with me and sharing your wisdom. Is there anything you would like to share, how people can get a hold of you, or anything that you'll be offering, or anything at all?
Yeah, so people can see my work on my website. It's livingyourbestlife.co.uk. I'm over on Instagram at Yasmina Speaks. And for anyone who is interested in the DISC personality profiling I mentioned, if they mention the podcast, they can get a 10% discount on that. And that gives them a 15-page report with details about their personality type, and how to communicate with different personalities. So again, going back to that kind of stuff around speaking, it can really enhance communication with others. And you get a session that takes you through the report and helps you to kind of set a few goals for yourself. So yep, if they quote the podcast, they'll get that discount.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Again, this is Insight into Wellness. My name is Alexandra Greenberg, owner of Green Tree Ayurveda, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.